What if your best performing emails and texts weren't campaigns, but automated messages triggered by your customers' behavior? If you've been relying too much on newsletters and not enough on smart automations, this episode's for you. Let's talk about the messages that send themselves and why they convert better than anything else. I'm Laryssa, and for nearly a decade with my agency, Joya, I've been helping product-based e-commerce brands grow with more intention, creativity, and clarity. We're ditching the formulas that don't feel like you and build strategies that actually connect. Your customers are telling you what they need every single day. They're clicking on certain products. They're signing up, but not buying. They're abandoning carts, placing orders, or leaving reviews. These are events. They're real, observable signals that the customer or the subscriber has taken an action. And every event is a perfect opportunity to meet that person with the right message at the right time. But most brands treat email and SMS like a bullhorn instead of a two-way conversation. That's where event-triggered messaging changes everything. This kind of messaging, well, it's really just a fancy way of saying your marketing gets sent automatically based on something your customer did, like signing up, clicking a link, making a purchase. Instead of blasting the same message to everyone, you're showing up with the right message at the right time without you having to lift a finger. So why does this matter? Consumers today expect personalization, and not the fake kind that just slaps their first name at the top of an email or in a subject line. That's a really old way of thinking about personalization. They want timing, relevance, connection. They want to feel like you're paying attention, and triggered messages prove you're paying attention without requiring you to babysit every campaign. When they're set up right, these event-triggered messages are automated, relevant, timely, and scalable. And in a world of constant noise, these are the messages that are cutting through. They don't even really feel like marketing. They can, when they're done right, feel like support, celebration, encouragement, or a helpful reminder. And best of all, they convert. Triggered messages consistently outperform traditional campaigns in both open and click-through rates and also in placed order rates, and they often drive more revenue with fewer sends. So when it comes to event-triggered messaging, what have I seen firsthand? I've seen these work again and again, and in some cases, they've completely transformed a brand's relationship with email and SMS. One client we recently had came to us feeling like their email strategy was just falling flat. They were showing up regularly, sending campaigns, doing all the right things, but the results from the campaigns and the basic abandoned cart automation that they had set up, they were just not stacking up the way they expected. And on top of that, this client felt like they had to work really hard for every single click and sale. And while they were super committed to the email program, they couldn't shake the sense that something was still missing. So we supported them in shifting the focus not away from the campaigns, but toward building the foundation that could support and amplify them. And at least for starters, we introduced a few additional thoughtful automations, like a customer win-back email that reached out just as a shopper was slipping away, a post-purchase sequence that didn't just say thank you, but continued the conversation, setting expectations, offering education, and reinforcing trust. It was also divided by whether the person was a new customer or a repeat customer. And also a customer anniversary message without a discount or sales push, just a moment of genuine appreciation that made the subscribers feel seen. These weren't flashy. They didn't require us to deliver new assets every week, but they were relevant, timed correctly, emotionally on point, running in the background, doing their job quietly but powerfully. And thanks to this shift, the client's campaigns started performing better too, because they weren't trying to do all the heavy lifting alone. Each campaign could then just show up in a really smarter, more built out ecosystem where the customer had already been nurtured, supported, and reminded why the brand matters. Of course, email campaigns are essential, but if you're only relying on them, you're making your job harder than it needs to be. Triggered messages aren't replacing your marketing strategy or like a shortcut, which I don't like. They just reinforce everything. They meet the customer where they are, keep the conversation going, and give your brand more depth and staying power. So, where do you start? I already mentioned a few when I was talking about the example with our client, but I want to give you 10 high impact event triggers that you can just steal. You don't have to use all of them. I would definitely choose the ones that feel the most relevant to your business, or even just start with your favorites and expand into some more later. You can get creative with them as well. So, number one, the welcome flow trigger. This is a very common automation. I think most people who have tried email marketing are the most familiar with this one. Welcome flow trigger is someone signs up to your list. And why it matters is first impressions count. So you can use email or SMS, an SMS welcome text, to introduce your brand, set expectations, and guide them toward that first purchase with clarity and confidence. Number two, abandoned cart trigger. This is when items have been added to carts but not purchased. And this matters because it is one of the highest intent signals. Intent signal means a customer has done something that is showing they're interested. They have intent. They're ready to take action, but they haven't acted just yet. So this is where you gently remind them what they're missing with a well-timed email or quick SMS nudge to get them to check out. Number three, the post-purchase thank you trigger. This is when a customer places an order. The post-purchase can come immediately after the purchase, immediately after the order ships. It can come at a certain delay. That's for you to figure out. But why it matters is it reinforces trust, shows appreciation, and offers next steps like product care tips, upsell options, or a more personal thank you note via SMS or even via email. Number four, replenishment or repeat purchase reminder trigger. This happens a set time after a previous order. So it wouldn't necessarily apply to a product that you're not refilling or need to buy often. But this is something to think about too if you do have a product that maybe someone would re-up on or consume and then want again, or just want to build on a collection. SMS can be especially effective here for convenience. You're offering a service. Number five, back in stock alert trigger. So a product that the person viewed or favorited or even opted in to get an update when something is back in stock. This is a really high conversion moment. An SMS with urgency or an email with a wait list tone works wonders here. Number six, price drop notification trigger. So this means an item that they browsed or favorited, put on a wish list, is now on sale. So this can drive clicks from people that are maybe window shopping or just kind of browsing. And for whatever reason, they're not ready to purchase. But if there's urgency around a price change, this can be great for immediacy and make someone feel FOMO if they don't end up purchasing. Number seven, win back flow. Basically, a win back, it refers to trying to re-engage a lapsed customer. So Depending on how often typically people buy from your business will determine how long you should wait before you kind of tap someone on the shoulder and say, hey, it's been 45 days, 90 days, however many days since you last made a purchase. Here's what's new. Here's something we think you'll love. This can help reignite interest by using a special offer, or again, making recommendations based on what they've purchased before, and it can work really well for both SMS and email. Number 8, a birthday or anniversary message trigger. So if you do have your customer birthdays, or you're syncing your email list with like a purchase anniversary, for example, it's been 1 year since someone made their first purchase. This can add a human celebratory touch. If you discount, this can be great for surprise discounts or other thoughtful and personal messages. And SMS can make it feel extra personal and more immediate. Number 9, viewed product, didn't purchase, also known as the browse abandon. So this means someone went to a product page, but they did not add to cart or take any other action. This is like someone that's in a store browsing and then they walk away. Maybe they had no interaction with the salesperson, but they looked at something, they picked it up off the shelf and they put it back. In a brick and mortar store, there's really no way to like follow up with that person. But thankfully with email and SMS, as long as you have data about who that person is, you can send what's called a browse abandonment email to try to bring them back and inspire them to add to their cart. And then 10th one that I will share with you today is the review, request, or feedback flow. Sometimes this gets looped into a post-purchase trigger, depending on how you want to set it up, because obviously you would send a review request after a purchase. But typically it gets triggered a few days after an order is delivered so that the person has time to check out their new item that they ordered. Why does this matter? You can use email or SMS to ask for a review. In addition, it's a chance to check for satisfaction, encourage user-generated content, just get some more direct feedback back to you. And also, if the customer does have some kind of issue and they haven't yet thought to reach out to you, can be like a extending an olive branch. Like, you're there, reply to this email if you have an issue or you have a question, et cetera, et cetera. It can help improve customer satisfaction in the long term. And the bonus with this kind of flow is that overall, hopefully, if it all goes well and your customers are engaging, you'll learn more about what's working. So overall, I want you to think of these event-based messages as building experiences. You're going to think of every event as a chapter in your customer's journey, and your job is to be kind of like the narrator who shows up right when the story needs you most. And that might mean a cheerleader message, again, depending on your brand voice and depending on where the customer is in the journey. Or a gentle nudge when they've gone quiet, or a "we got you" when a product comes back in stock. These touch points are all chances for you to feel human. That's what makes people purchase. That's what makes people come back again and again. That's what makes people refer you to friends, family, etc. Triggered messaging is, in my opinion, simplicity. It can be complex to set up. It could be as complex as you want it to be. But it's simple in that you spend the upfront work thinking through the strategy, what you want your customer to feel, to experience. And then it's in some ways a set it, not forget it, but a set it for a period of time, see how it goes. You don't have to worry about it every day. It reduces the stress of always wondering, what should I send next? Yeah, of course, you should be sending campaigns, but you won't be obsessing so much because other things are happening in the background and still creating touch points with your subscribers. And when all of this is done right, it doesn't overwhelm your customer. It meets them exactly where they are in their journey, in their process. So my mini challenge for you this week is to think about one triggered message. You can use one of the ones I mentioned that's either missing or underperforming and improve it. Don't have a post-purchase email? Write the first one. Already have an abandoned cart? Maybe think about making the copy feel more compelling, more personal, more value-driven. Do you have a welcome flow? Maybe there are ways to build that out. For example, you have one email or two emails. Is there more that can be said over a series to build more trust, to share the story with more depth? Set the wheels in motion and let automation support your relationship building. Every customer action is an invitation. Are you going to show up and show them you're listening? Triggered emails and texts are less about tech and fancy setups and more about trust. They prove that you care, that you're present, and that you're invested in the journey. And when your brand is showing up like that with the relevance, the empathy, and the perfect timing, your customer is more likely to say, wow, they get me. And again, that's what keeps them coming back. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and check out my other videos for even more tips.